Hello everyone, this is Joe, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna go back to Shapez 2. If you ever dug in my archives, or that you've been here since a long time ago, you would know that Shapez 2 was the first game I covered on my channel when the demo came out. It's a game I really like, so this is definitely going to be a full playthrough. So let's begin. So on the new game mode screen, we have difficulty and scenario. The difficulty on the left changes the different limits that you have and how much shapes you have to build to be able to go to the next goals. What it really translates to in the game is really how much you'll need to optimize your factory. I'm gonna keep this on normal for this game, I don't find it makes that much of a difference. As for the scenario, it changes how complicated the shapes that you have to do are, but I recommend for most people to start with operator certifications. Yes, it's kind of the tutorial, but regardless, if you're worried, as soon as you complete the scenario, you can pick your difficulty anyway. With that said, let's start our long journey with Shapez 2. So I will strive for efficiency and build no spaghetti factories. I really cannot say yes to this, but all good. So how the game works is that we have to build shapes of different complexity and send them to the middle to this nice little vortex. So while this works, it's pretty simple. You put extractors in these one to create shapes, and you put conveyor belts, and you send that to our vortex. Very simple. For now. Your milestone are always displayed on the left. Currently, we just need to send 10 full circles to the middle. Alright. The next shape we have to do is half circles, as well as some squares. For this, we're gonna place some cutters. The game is really good with building belts. It's really rare you do something that it doesn't want you to do. And the other objective we need to do like we just did with the circle, and send the square to the middle. If we want this to take less time, we can simply duplicate what we have. Next, we need to do quarter circle and as well as half squares. If we would just put a cutter, since it cuts it vertically, we would end up with the same shape, which is not what we want. So we need to rotate the shape first. And then cut it. By the way, it doesn't matter what rotation the shape is. In this case, we need a quarter circle, which means that even if it's not in the same alignment, it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna do the same thing with these ones here. If I go to my square, I need to do half squares. In this game, you cannot control the speed. If something is not fast enough, it means you gotta scale up. In this game, there's no cost, so if you've done a mistake and put, let's say, 2 rotator instead of a cutting, you can just come and replace it. Our milestone is almost completed. And there we go, we completed milestone 1. Next, we're getting stacker and second floor. Finally be able to create some shapes that are slightly more interesting. Alright, so next milestone we need to put a circle on top of a square. As the game is explaining us, you can go up and down on building conveyor belts with Q and E. And I'm going to do what the game says to do. If you press E, you go up 1 level, and Q to go down. By the way, in general, it's always good to leave what you have even though it's not producing something you might need, because as you see here, there's always going to be new milestone and objective to do. Speaking of that, we have other tasks that are unlocked, so I'll get to that in a second. By the way, for each shape as well, well, this one is rather simple, but I'm going to click on it. You can always see what it's made of. For example, if I pick layer view, you can see it's really a circle on top of a square. Very important to put them in the right order. So the square goes at the bottom. Press E to go up, and it's going to be a top layer. The game shows you this shape that it's understanding that it's making, so you can see that we have the right shape. Just have to shove this in the vortex. Not that it's important now, but you can always double up sending them on the second level. By the way, second levels are nice, but it can get inconvenient, but there's a quick solution. If you press V, you can see the level under, which is also very important when you want to delete things. Let's say I want to select this and delete it. It works, Ctrl Z to undo, but let's say we would have this here, and you try to select this, as you can see, it's going to select both. Not convenient. Alright, now I'm going to do this little square here, and I'm going to click on the task afterwards. Yes, game, I'll get to it in a moment. Fine, I'll click on it. Tasks are additional goals that, when we send them to the vortex, will give us research points, which we'll then use to unlock some upgrades, and let's say speed upgrades, or to unlock new advanced versions of what we have already. I'm just going to pin all of them. At the beginning of the game, it's probably better to focus on the milestones, because we're going to unlock a lot of good quality of life improvements at first. As a small thing here, by the way, cutting is slower than rotating, so if you want to do this efficiently, make sure we have 3 of them rather than 2. Alright, let's start building some of these task shapes. So this one will need to stack 2 circles on top of each other, like earlier. Better to always start anew. For the conveyor belt, there's also an alternative, which is a nice little jump. I think it makes it go a little bit faster. It's a bit harder to follow where the shapes go, but just for fun, I'll put one here. It's nice to see little things flying around. So let's build this one. It's basically 2 circles on top of each other. I'm going to use 1 series of extractor for this, so I'm only going to take half of the stackers. By the way, if you want to make a 90-degree angle, you press C, that creates an anchor point. There we go. So that's this shape done. We'll go do our square as well on the other side. Let's take these ones, they haven't been touched yet. Just gonna get all of this out already. Okay, so we need to stack 2 squares on top of each other. By the way, there's no reason why I'm using the 2 extractor this time rather than 1. I just wanted to show that you don't necessarily need to be fully optimized all the time. You have a lot of time to complete this. So you can always check here, we have the right shape. Next, we need to stack 3 of them. That's a good case of pressing V to see under the belt. And we should be good to go for this one. I really like the art style they picked for this game. It looks clean, the lighting effect looks nice. Okay, so we're making these 3 shapes here. one good advice I have, let's say we go to the task, you can see where each of them is going to lead. As an example, the pyramid goes from 3 to a stack of 4. So it's good to think of it that before undoing anything, at least you can see the chain, because normally when they are together like this, they are going to follow the same pattern. See an example, this one goes from 2 square to half a square, and then you add a half circle, and then you add 2 half circles. You don't necessarily need to plan that much ahead of time, but at least you can see what's coming up. Next, I'm going to complete the last task that we have. We already have one of the quarter moon here. And we haven't used a lot of our square here. One thing in this game, don't feel bad about destroying what you've done and redoing it anew. I just realized we already have the other app that we need, so I'll just take it from here. I could do that, but I could also keep the quarter square for this as well, which we're gonna need very shortly. Alright, instead I'll just create the same pattern we have here and merge them. By the way, you can also build buildings on the second floor. I'll show an example. I forgot to destroy this earlier. Another good tip, if you press on any object and you press O, you can see everything related to it. And then you can just press delete. They're not aligned, so let's fix this. There we go, we have the right shape. Okay, this should be fine. Now let's complete our task. If you click on it, it's going to lead you to the one that's selected. Let's look at our upgrades. We have 4 points. We could increase the speed of our belts, which would give us 50% more throughput, which is great. I think I'll start with getting the 3 of them, but I'm just going to look on the right side first. The cutter upgrade is pretty interesting because you do keep both halves of what you cut. Which really, even if these things are slow, it kind of doubles the speed that it cuts them. Swapper is used for specific purposes, but there's always a purpose to everything in this game. And these 2 are more space saver when you don't want to use 2 rotator or 3 rotator to get to the same shape. So let's start with the belt upgrades and the cutting upgrades, because we do a lot of that. Let's go back to our main objectives. We need half of this. We don't need this monstrosity anymore. Well, we never needed it. Since we don't have our stacker upgrades yet, I'm going to add a few stackers here. There we go. And the last one, we have to do a quarter of 2 square on top of each other. I'm going to repurpose this little section. This is the right shape, but this is going to be a bit slow. Let's unlock this one here. And we we have our 2 points, so I can upgrade the stacking as well. All right. And we're back to needing 6. But we're splitting that in 2, which means it's going only at half speed. I'm gonna replicate this, we can do this a bit faster. By the way, next milestone, we're getting blueprints, which is going to make it way faster to redo the same things over and over. Alright, now each of them will have the same amount, so should do this much faster. Since it's going to be much faster once we get blueprint, I'm going to consider the milestone first. Well, to complete this task, we just need to rotate it and cut it, so I'll do this before doing the milestone. We can let the game work on this while we do something else. By the way, same thing for this half circle here. You don't even need to rotate it. Alright. I'll do at least a quarter square from here. Going to cut it in half, rotate it, and cut it again. Alright, our quarter circle is completed. Now we just need to do a quarter square. Oh, I just realized we already have the shape here, so we just need to rotate it and cut it instead. There we go. That should be our objective here. And next upgrade will be costing us 6. Next we're going to do these 2 opposite quarter squares. I don't use this for anything useful, so I'm just going to get rid of this. And we need to redo the same thing here. We'll just need to rotate it at the end. Just need to finish the stacker and we're good to go. Alright, should be good to go. I'm gonna go back to some of our tasks. Let's add a layer to our pyramid. There we go. This is me being lazy a little bit. I'm just putting some overflows and sending back on top. And the other shape is half of this. We've done that many times already. There we go. And next shape. This is a follow-up of this one we did here. We just need to add a circle on top. We have a free circle conveyor belt on the left, so I'm just going to put some stacker and we're going to stack the previous shape we had. This one goes at the bottom and this one goes on top. Alright, and the last task here is half of this one here. Thank you, game. This is a bit obvious, but you can see it. There's not a lot of space here. I'll bring this here instead. And that probably breaks the promise at the beginning of the game that you won't do any spaghetti factory. That's pretty much what it is. Alright, so everything we need to do is send the vortex. Alright, we have enough to do the cutter. We should have plenty of good examples on how to use this, starting right here. We'll need this half for the shape. So the cutter takes one input and provides both sides of the shape. I'll start with 2 to show a quick example. So let's say we just do 2 cut. So let's say we would just start and do it like this. As you can see, it split the shapes in half. They're inverted, so we'll need to rotate them. This is why some of the upgrades, that's why there's some good upgrades. It says the 180-degree rotator is good, because otherwise we'll need to put 2 rotator here if we want to get the same shape. So currently, to replicate what we had earlier, that would be sufficient. The big advantage of the cutters is because since you keep both sides, it really doubles your output. So even though the speed is 22.5, really with 2 of them, you're still at 90 items per minute. By the way, a little tip I hadn't shown before, if you click on a conveyor belt and you wait a little bit, you can see the real throughput. In this case, we're maxed out at 90. I'm gonna complete some of the upgrades, and that should give us enough points for the 180 rotator, which we need with this to be a bit cleaner. Next, while our milestone is still being done, I'm gonna do this shape here. I'm gonna go now get the other half. We need a half circle. By the way, if you press F, you have variant, where you flip the building. We need the left side of the circle. I'm just going to rotate these 2. And we just need to stack them on top of each other. And here we're effectively using half of our belt capacities, as you will see in a second. The power of the cutter. There is one thing to be careful of when you use cutter, is that each belt must always output equally, which means that let's say this side is used but not this one, this thing will stop working. I'm sure it's going to happen in the future, so don't worry, you'll have a live example. Probably not in this episode, but I'm assuming in the next at most. Our next objective is based on this shape here. Instead of a full circle, we need a half circle. And I'm gonna need the right side. And the resulting shape is the correct one. Alright, we've completed our next milestone. Let's unlock blueprints. Blueprints will allow us to copy-paste any parts of our factory and even save it in our little blueprint book. Our next unlock after blueprints, we're going towards space platforms. Alright, so the game want to show us how to do blueprints, so pretty simple. You shift drag and you do Control C, Control V and you paste. And we also have new task, which I'm going to pin as well. Next, I'm going to unlock the swapper because they're good at doing those shapes that have opposite sides. Since I want to unlock the swapper, I'm going to start with this one at the bottom. This is based on one of the shapes we're already making. Instead of having only a half circle at the bottom, we need to have also another one on top of it. We have 2 ways to do this. We could change it so that we build a layer first and just imprint them on top of each other, but instead I'll just stack 2 circles on top and we'll put it on this side. I'm going to shift select this, Control C, and Control V to paste. As in other factory games, blueprints is really when we can start scaling up like crazy. That should work. Alright, you can see here we'll have the right shape. Next we have a lot of 3/4 things. I'm going to start with the 3/4 circle with a tiny square. Which really is half a circle plus a quarter circle plus a quarter square. Alright, I was looking around, we really don't have anything like this. At this point, some of the shapes we have left are not really looking like anything we need, so it's time to get rid of them. In general, once I'm completed the full list of tasks, I have a tendency to delete them because we can reuse this for new shapes. So all this pyramid here, I don't think it's useful anymore. As well as this one here. Alright, now we have a lot of X sectors to play with. Let's do a 3/4 circle. Alright, so this is our half circle. Now we need to do the other quarter. I'm going to start with what we did for the half. I'm going to create quarters from it. Also, what worked for a little machine works for blueprints as well. If you press F, it mirrors it on one direction. And if you do Shift F, it mirrors it the other way. Which we'll take advantage of here. I'll need to cut this again. Just going to unlock the other direction for the rotator so that it doesn't look too funny. And with this, we'll do another round of cutting and we'll split it in quarters. And by the way, so this is 45, which means that we have 90, but we're cutting it again, so we only really need half of this. And we need to have the top right part. And good old stacker. Alright. Now we just need to put a little square on top. We'll do the same thing we've done here. So take a single to a double. And in 2 seconds like that, we already have the shape we need. I press V, yeah, all good. All right. We have completed this one. And we can get the swapper. I think it's a good place to stop this episode. Next time we're going to unlock the space platforms and we'll also make good use of these swappers we just unlocked. As usual, thanks everyone and have a great day.